welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. First of all, I haven't made a video in so long. Happy New Year. I hope everyone is healthy and excited for the new year. So I want to just give a warning before I start this video. This video does involve children and a lot of very disturbing content regarding a child. So if that's something that you're not comfortable watching, please don't watch this video. I honestly had to take a break when I was doing the research for this video just because I was so affected and disturbed. I don't really have a script. I have the information, but I don't have like a script. So I just want this video to be very organic and come from the heart. That sounds very cliche, but I just want it to be organic and not so scripted. So this case is going to be about Cherish Perrywinkle, and she was 8 years old. So Cherish's mom's name is Rain Perrywinkle. I'm like having a tongue twister with the last name. And her father's name is Billy Giroux. I hope I'm saying his last name correctly. If I'm not, I'm so sorry. So in 1986, Rain, which is Cherish's mother, gave birth to her first daughter, and her name is Lindsay Hoyt. She struggled being a mother, so in 1991 she left her daughter in Australia, which is her birthplace, Brisbane, Australia, and she traveled to the United States. When Billy was serving in the Navy, he met Rain at a strip club. That's where she was working as a stripper, and they had a one-night stand, and that is how Cherish was conceived. Billy didn't believe that Cherish was his daughter. Obviously, it's a one-night stand, so I don't blame him for that, honestly. He wanted a paternity test for her, and Rain refused it. She didn't want to give him that paternity test for whatever reason. 3 years had passed since then, and Billy decided to take the legal route, and he got a court order which gave him the paternity test that he wanted, and it was confirmed that Cherish was in fact his daughter. Right away, when Billy found out that Cherish was his daughter, he wanted custody of her. He didn't feel like she was living in a safe environment with her mother, Rain. And during this time, even up until the point that Cherish was murdered, he was in and out of court trying to get that full custody, but it was just such a struggle for him. Obviously, I don't know how it works in other countries, but in the United States, they do definitely favor the mother over the father when it comes to custody. Some mothers are not fit to raise a child and have full custody, and I do believe the father does have the right to get that custody, but it is very difficult. I've read, I've watched a lot of different cases where situations happen to the child based on the court not granting the father full custody, and unfortunately it ends up in a really bad way for the child, when in fact it would have been such a different outcome if the courts did grant the full custody to the father. In 2006, Cherish lived in a homeless shelter with her mother, and at this homeless shelter they did offer childcare, and Rain would often leave Cherish there and would not come back for her. Like, girl, why are you not coming back for your baby? So they had a lot of issues with her for not picking up Cherish at the designated time, and this kind of shows you what kind of mother Rain is. And it's so hard not to pass judgment in covering a true crime case, because obviously I want to tell you guys like the facts and what happened as opposed to my opinion and how I feel. But girl, this mother, we're gonna get into it. In 2009, Rain tried to commit suicide by overdosing on Benadryl, and at that time she was pregnant. She was then diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. So Cherish Perrywinkle was born on December 24th, 2004, and she was said to be such a sweet, kind, smart little girl. Rain also had two other daughters after Cherish, and their names are Destiny and Nevaeh. Hopefully I'm saying Nevaeh right. I think it's Nevaeh. So I just gave a little bit of a backstory on Rain, Cherish's mother, and just a little bit about before everything happened as far as this case. So now we're going to get into what happened to Cherish Perrywinkle. On the morning of June 22nd, 2013, Billy was expecting to get Cherish for the summer break. So she was going to go to see him and spend time with him over summer break, and he was so excited to see her. Billy and Rain did not have a good co-parenting relationship at all. They were in and out of court, like I said previously. Things don't work out in relationships, especially in this case where Cherish was conceived by a one-night stand. In situations like that, you know, you don't know that person, so the relationship 9 times out of 10 is not going to flourish based on that. So their relationship was very strained. It was reported, and I don't want to say this for a fact, but he did say that if he didn't get Cherish, that she would end up dead. So that's like some crazy foreshadowing. So at this time, Billy did live in San Diego, California. He did move there from Florida in 2010, Jacksonville, Florida. This is where Rain and Cherish lived with her 2 other sisters. So she was going to fly out to San Diego to visit her father. Billy actually woke up on that morning on June 22nd to a voicemail by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and they told him through a voicemail that his daughter was murdered. And when I looked into, like, when I was researching that and I heard that that's what happened, I understand that, you know, you can't reach the parent and you need to notify them of what's happening, but I do feel like that deserves like a few calls, like 10-20 calls before you leave a voicemail. I feel like that's very insensitive to hear that your daughter was murdered via a voicemail. I don't know what they were thinking with that. So we're going to take it back to the previous day, which is June 21st, 2013. At this time, Rain did have a boyfriend. His name was Aaron. He told her to use $40 to purchase clothes for Rain, and then the rest of the money should be used to purchase a cab ride to the airport at 4 a.m. because that's the time that they were going to leave the house to take her to the airport to see her father. So Rain, along with her 3 daughters, walked a mile to the Family Dollar, and this was about 6:30 p.m. So Rain ends up going to the Family Dollar and purchases household items equaling $30. And after that, they went to the Dollar General. After about an hour, Donald Smith, which is the murderer, okay, when I first saw him, honestly, I thought he looked like Santa Claus. I was like, oh my God, Santa Claus. This man is far from Santa Claus. He is the most disgusting person. But anyway, so he arrives to the Dollar General about an hour after Cherish and her mother and her 2 sisters are there. And Rain does notice him watching them as they were trying on shoes, as she was, you know, trying on shoes on Cherish, and she notices him watching them. And it was also said that a worker remembers Donald because he asked him for adult magazines. Mind you, this is the Dollar General, sir. Where are there going to be adult magazines? You're in the wrong place. So a few moments later, Rain does go to check out, and Donald is behind her, I believe. And she's checking out, and she's purchasing a few items for her daughter, Cherish. And she realizes that she doesn't have any money to purchase these items, so she had to put the items back. And Donald is there just kind of eavesdropping and overhearing the interaction with her and the employee. He does then step out of the Dollar General and he smokes a cigarette in front of the Dollar General and basically waits for Rain and her 3 daughters to leave. And they do meet in the parking lot. Donald then approaches Rain and tells her, quote, "It looks like you have your hands full," end quote. Noticing that, you know, she's with her 3 daughters, and he does mention that he does have children as well. So he's kind of trying to relate to her and form this connection, you know, like, oh yeah, I have children too, they're such a handful. He then tells Rain that he has a, mind you, I've read 2 different reports. I heard that it's $100 gift card to Walmart, and then I also saw on another source that it was $150, but I saw that it was $100 more so than $150. So I'm just gonna go with $100. I'm sorry if I'm incorrect, but I believe it's $100. So he tells Rain that he does have a $100 gift card to Walmart. He tells her they can go there and purchase some items for Cherish, and he does also mention, which is very important, that his wife will be meeting them there. Or matter of fact, I believe that he said his wife is coming, and then he said, oh no, she's just gonna meet us there at the Walmart. And I do believe, in my opinion, that he said that to make her feel comfortable, because when you hear about, you know, another woman, you feel a little bit more safer, even though you shouldn't, right? You should never assume that the wife is good. For instance, the case with Carla Homolka and what's his name? Bernardo. I can't get his name right now. But yeah, There's a lot of cases. And also Myra Henley, and I'm always getting the woman and not the men's name, and Ian Brady. Hello, like, you cannot trust a woman in a lot of situations. And matter of fact, if you don't know the person, you should never, well, sometimes even if you know them, it's just the hard world. It's a hard world because it's very difficult to know who's good, because even people that you know can have bad intentions for you. So definitely do not trust people, especially getting into someone's car or going with them somewhere. No, don't do it. Just, you know, avoid that at all costs, because again, you don't know people's intentions, and you don't know what could have changed in their lives to make them bad people. Rain does state, because I did watch the trial in court, and she does state that she felt very concerned about Donald when she first kind of noticed him in the Dollar General. She was more so cautious because she felt like he was trying to steal her money, because he was like just hovering over her, and you know, she was just like, is this man trying to steal my money? But for some reason she wrote that off and said, you know what, I'm gonna take my 3 baby girls in this car, it was a white van, and go to Walmart because he's offering to pay for my clothes for my daughter. And for some reason, for her, she felt like that was okay because his wife was going to meet them there. The Walmart was very close, so she did go in the car with this man, Donald Smith, and her 3 daughters, and they did go to Walmart. Donald was a little irritated. He was a little irritated by her resistance at first to enter his car. So can you imagine, like, you don't know this person and they're already upset, like, you don't want to come in my car with me? Sir, I don't know you. And she still decided to go in the car with her 3 little girls. You know, I just can't stop saying that because it's just, I feel like it's just so irresponsible, you know, as a mother. Like, why would you put your children in that type of situation? While they were in the car, I would say, I should say van, truck, van. I'll say van for the video. It's a white van. He did ask Rain, you know, the ages of the children, how old they were. I'm pretty sure he probably asked her how old she was. And he did lie and say that he was 61 years old. He was not 61 years old. He was younger. He just lied because he probably wanted to appear as this friendly old man. And mind you, 61 is not old at all. I don't believe that 61 is old. But he was definitely trying to come across as being very kind of like grandfatherly, maybe, like just this figure that was deemed safe. While they were driving to the Walmart, Donald pretended to get a call from his wife, and he proceeded to pick up the phone, you know, pretend that he's talking to his wife. And Rain did notice that the phone didn't ring, so she was like, oh. She just thought that it was because it was on vibrate, and you know, it could have been on vibrate. So that's what she told herself. Obviously, I think people tell themselves a lot of things to make themselves feel comfortable in a situation like that. But she's right. You know, it could have been on vibrate, but I'm pretty sure you can hear the vibration. Like, when my phone vibrates, I hear it. You know, and people hear it too. Like, oh, is your phone ringing? Because it's vibrating. But, and mind you, they're in a car. It's a closed space. It's not like they're in an apartment or they're outside. No, they're in a car. So wouldn't you hear the phone vibrate? No? So when they arrived to Walmart, he told Rain and, well, he told Rain, not the kids. He told Rain to meet him in the clothing section, and he would meet them there after. So he did do that, and then after he did meet them in the clothing section, he was just watching them. And on the CCTV, you can see him just standing there just watching them browse and look at stuff. You know, being kids, they're playing around, having fun. And he was just watching them. So as they were shopping, there was a few things that occurred. I did read that he followed Cherish into the fitting room a few times. Okay? Like, girl, why are you letting this grown man that you don't know follow your daughter into the fitting room? But then Donald mentions that he wants McDonald's, and he starts asking, well, what do they want from McDonald's? And this is a Walmart that had the McDonald's inside it. I don't know if you guys have a Walmart by you, but there's a lot of McDonald's that have, like, McDonald's. There's a lot of Walmarts that have restaurants inside of them. And in that particular Walmart, there was a McDonald's. And he decided to go to the McDonald's, and Cherish followed him there. In my opinion, I do believe he told her, hey, you want come with me to McDonald's, like on the low. And he, you know, told Rain. But it was said that Rain wasn't concerned with Cherish leaving the Walmart, and she did say that. And I just feel like it's such an odd thing to say. Like, why would you even think that they would leave the Walmart? You know, so you're already having this preconceived notion that they could possibly leave the Walmart. But she said she wasn't concerned because Cherish would never leave the Walmart, and she felt comfortable letting her go with Donald because it was inside of the Walmart, and it was just right there. And she just believes, like, oh, that's fine. She can go with this grown man that I don't know, but you know, he's paying for everything, so yeah, just go. Yeah, see you later. Cherish was then seen on CCTV leaving the Walmart with Donald, and that was the last time that she was seen alive. And watching the CCTV, you can see her walking out the Walmart in her beautiful dress. Obviously, he told her something. You know, she's 8 years old. She's a baby. But I'm pretty sure he told her something that made her feel comfortable to, like, leave the Walmart with him. And this is speculation. I don't know. And he never, to my knowledge, stated what he said. He actually said that she followed him. So he kind of blamed her. Like, she followed me out the Walmart. It wasn't my fault. You know, I didn't tell her to come with me. She followed me. She wanted to come with me. Disgusting piece of shit. But in my opinion, he did tell her something. Hey, I have candy in the car. Hey, you want to go to the car, surprise your mom with something? Something to get her just to walk out freely out of the Walmart. So as Donald was driving out of the Walmart parking lot, he pulled up next to, this is so weird and strange, but he pulled up next to another car, and there was a couple inside. I believe they were a couple. And the couple heard someone say, we're gonna get cheeseburgers, and the couple was very confused. They were also in the courtroom testifying against Donald, and they were just so confused because they kind of looked at him like, do I know you? Like, you know when someone says something to you outside and you're just like, do I know this person? Like, who is this? Like, you try to like think, oh, maybe I know him. They didn't know him. So it's just such a random thing to do. And that was it. And then he just drove away, and they were just there like, what? They didn't see Cherish, but it was very noticeable that someone was in the passenger seat with Donald, but they didn't see her. But they, you know, you just know someone's there. That's what they said. So after a few, you know, maybe 30 minutes, I believe, or it could have been longer. And mind you, this is the time where Walmart is about to close. Rain does realize, like, where is my daughter and where is Donald? Like, where did they go? And she starts frantically, obviously, as a mom would do, running around the Walmart looking for her daughter. Goes to McDonald's, doesn't see her there, you know, just walking through the store, and yeah, nowhere to be found. So she decides to call 911. She's obviously screaming and like, my daughter, where's my daughter? And I just want to get this correct. So Rain called 911 using a phone by an employee in the Walmart, and this is what she said verbatim. I had a strange feeling about him when I met him. He took her to the dressing room twice, and I was hoping that she would be okay. And I was looking at the shoes, and I didn't want him to think I was overly protective, freaking out, but now they're not here. And I'm hoping he's not raping her right now, because I've had that done to me and it's not fun. End quote. When I was watching her, because she testified this in the trial, I was just like, girl, what? So after, I did mention this, but after you realized that he went into the dressing room with her twice, you felt that it was okay for him to go anywhere with her? Alone? I don't care if it's a Walmart, an amusement park, freaking Six Flags. Like, no, you don't let your daughter go anywhere with a man, let alone a few inches from me. No. So honestly, in this video, I don't want to go that deep into Donald's past. I know that it's so interesting to learn, and you know what, I am gonna state a few things about him, but I just want this video to be more so about Cherish and the case, because I just find that, this man, I can't even describe how I feel about him. The electric chair, if that was still around, would be so good for him. He deserves to sit there and fry. He deserves to sit there and fry. If hanging was still a thing, he's like the candidate that I would be front row for. And I've always said, like, how do people watch people hang? Like, back in the day, like, how do people do that? Girl, when I'm telling you that I would be there with my coffee, sipping away, watching this man hang easily. So Donald Smith, and just to clarify, he was 57 years old at the time of this murder. I'm not sure why he changed his age to 61, but he felt that that was something that he wanted to do. But he lived with his single mother and his grandparents. When he was a baby, his mother married a man, and his name was Clifton Smith. Clifton Smith was very abusive, physically and verbally. Due to Clifton's job, they moved around frequently, so Donald had a very hard time making friends. He struggled a lot with making friends and forming connections. He was severely bullied in school, and he did state that, and this is his words, I'm not saying this for a fact, but he did state that he was molested when he was 8 years old by two older boys. He also said that they would force him to watch while they molested other little girls. During his teenage years, Donald did struggle with substance abuse. He was arrested a few times, actually. There's a few times that this man was in jail. He was a frequent flyer when it came to being in prison. Is that like a good terminology? Probably not. He was one of those people that rehabilitation is just not working for him. Keep him in there. They should have kept him in there, but they didn't. But he did state that he was sexually assaulted by an inmate while he was in prison. When he was released from prison, he did become extremely addicted to crack cocaine, and it was said that his mother used to drive him to purchase these drugs. He also inherited $100,000, which he spent on the drugs. Like, it was said that he spent the whole thing on purchasing these drugs. He was heavily addicted to crack cocaine, and if I'm not mistaken, it was implied that it affected his mental state, which I do believe, because I do believe that substances do affect your mental state, especially if you're, what is it called, predisposed to mental illness. Is it predisposed, I believe, to mental illness? So it can trigger you to have a mental illness. That's why certain people should just stay away from drugs, because it can lead to a severe mental illness. In 2009, Donald was actually arrested for trying to abduct, sexually assault a 9-year-old girl. He was posing as a Department of Children and Families worker, and he was arrested for that, and he was given 4 years in prison. And 21 days after he was released was when he murdered Cherish Perrywinkle. He was released from prison with no supervision. And even throughout the years while he was arrested and released, because he was arrested and released multiple times, there was no supervision on him. No one was watching him. Mind you, this man was extremely dangerous and a huge threat to young girls. Should I say young girls? Babies, like little girls under the age of 12. So irresponsible. That's to say the least, for the Department of Corrections to do. So now we're going to get into the aftermath of how everything played out. So a call was made to 911 by a woman, and she reported that she saw a white van parked behind a church. This was the Highlands Baptist Church, and she saw a white van there, and she called to report it because she heard over the news that a little girl was abducted from Walmart, and they did say that it was a white van that she was abducted with. So she felt it very important to report that to the police. And let me tell you, this woman is such an angel, because she is really, in my opinion, the one that helped solve this case. In the sense that, obviously, we're gonna talk about that later. You're gonna see that, they know it was Donald. But as far as finding Cherish, this woman played such an important role in that, because I don't think that Donald would have said where she was at all. So the woman called and said that, there was a white van behind a church, but it wasn't there anymore. But she wanted to let them know, just so they know, hey, there was a white van there. Maybe this is something that you guys should investigate and look into. Well, a little while after that call was made by this woman, a female officer was on the I-95, and she was driving. I think she was pulling someone over for like a traffic stop, something like that. And she realized that the white van passed her. So she immediately was like, okay, bye, you know, bye, traffic stop. And she started following the white van. And she didn't pull him over immediately because she needed backup. And she needed, I was watching the court, her testify in court, and she basically said she needed like that approval to do that. Officer Charlie Wilkie was called to the scene, and he was the one who pulled Donald over. He's obviously a suspect for the disappearance of Cherish at this time. While he was arresting him, you know, Donald was, you know, being arrested. He's in the back of Donald. He realized that his clothes was soaking wet. He immediately said, oh my God, she's in the water. When Officer Wilkie said that, Donald looked at him. He just turned around and looked at him and then looked away. And that's when Officer Wilkie, it was just that confirmation that he needed, like, yeah, you know, you didn't have to say anything. She's in some type of water, and you just confirmed it with that look. It was kind of like the look like, how did he know? Sir, you're covered in water. You're soaking wet. So Officer Wilkie was notified of that 911 call that woman made. He was instructed to immediately go to that location to investigate the area and see what could possibly be there and hopefully find Cherish. Officer Wilkie was with his canine partner Gator, and when they got to the area by the bushes, Gator just took off running because, you know, he's trying to detect the scent. And Officer Wilkie said that he was walking like adjacent to him because he didn't want to compromise the area, just in case, you know, evidence. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't stepping directly on the ground that Gator was walking on. Gator stopped when they got to a body of water. This is where the scent stops. And he notices a tree in the water, like it was a tree, but, you know, it was in the water. So it wasn't up, it was just laying in the water. I don't know why I'm having a hard time describing that. It was laying in the water. And when he looked, he saw Cherish. She was laying on her side, facing away from him, and her hair was just floating in the water. And she was in a few inches of water, and he immediately noticed that she was not alive, she was deceased. And he was very much affected by it, as anyone would be if they found a baby girl in that condition. Officer Wilkie did state in court that he will always remember what she had on. She had on an orange dress, and he was asked, you know, why do you remember that specific detail? And he said, and oh my God, when he said this, my heart just like broke. My heart broke. He said that he will always remember her wearing that orange dress because his daughter has the same dress. He did say that he just, you know, stood there. He didn't want the scene to be compromised by, you know, say like an alligator comes or anything. He just wanted to make sure she was kind of like just protecting her and making sure that all the evidence would be there as soon as the medical examiner comes and all the team comes to get her body and secure the crime scene. It was said that the dress that she had on was pulled up to her chest, and underneath her she was naked. I watched the medical examiner explain in detail what her injuries are, and when I tell you that, you know, I can't even put it into words, but she had bruises all over her body.
Okay, so close up, this is where you pass urine. You can see how red it is, how swollen it is. This is a vagina, which normally you can't see, and you can see all the tearing there. You notice an area in Cherish's back of her head?
Yes.
So you shaved her head?
Yes.
And then cut her scalp so you could look at the injury more closely?
Yes.
And did you photograph that?
Yes.
And what, I'm going to direct your attention now to States 84 and ask you to explain to the jury what is reflected here.
Okay, so when the scalp is reflected back, you have an area of hemorrhage right there. I'm sorry, I have to take a break. Can I just have like 5 minutes?
Do you want a 5-minute break?
I think we'll all take a break for 10 minutes.
She had evidence of blunt force trauma to the head and face. Amongst other things, they did find Donald's DNA inside of her, as well as finding her DNA on him. I'm going to insert a clip from the medical examiner because it's honestly so devastating to say. And even watching this case, this court trial, the medical examiner had to take a break. She had to physically take a break. She said, you know, she needs a second. That's how disturbing and sick Cherish was, like her injuries were.
Yes, my name is Dr. Valerie. Surrounding the nipple is, and around that you can see the bruising, the pink blue discoloration.
Dr. Rao, what is your opinion as to that injury?
That is consistent with somebody sucking on her breast.
Let me show you State 61. Will you please describe to the jury what's depicted in State 61?
So this is the side of her right thigh. She has a bruise right there.
State 62.
This is the back of her right arm. She has a bruise right there, and she has small abrasions right there.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Rao, do you have an opinion as to the cause and manner of death of the death of Cherish Perrywinkle?
Mechanical asphyxia.
Will you explain what that is to the jury?
So what she sustained was tremendous force on her neck, such that she could not breathe. She suffered swelling of her brain as a result of lack of oxygen to her brain, and as a result of which she died.
This man is the devil. Even his defense didn't put up a fight in this trial. And in the first stage of the trial, they didn't even have a closing statement. There was just so much evidence, The lead defense attorney, I want to get this right, Charles Fletcher, he said, quote, "How can I stand here and say, find Donald Smith not guilty? How could I do that with a straight face, with that amount of evidence, with that amount of DNA?" It took the jury 15 minutes to convict Donald of first-degree murder, kidnapping, and sexual battery, and he was sentenced to death. He is currently still on death row in Florida. In April of 2001, so literally less than a year ago, he tried to appeal his sentence. Sir, if you don't sit your ass in prison for the rest of your life and rot, people do not play in prison with cases involving children. Like, a lot of men are horrible. They do horrible things that I'm never going to sit here and justify them doing. But when it comes to an attack and assault on a child, it's like an invisible line that you don't cross. And people that do that and go to prison, they do not have an easy sentence at all, as they should not have one. They shouldn't have an easy sentence. They should have the worst sentence ever for ever touching a child. Donald sat in this courtroom, okay, with a poker face. When I'm telling you that this man was so nonchalant, his hand on his face, just like, it kind of made me think, is he like reliving his crime? That is basically the end of the video. Rain did lose custody of her two other daughters, which she should. She is not a fit mother. She does not need to have kids. She should be banned from having kids. She is an unfit mother. And the two baby girls, they are currently living with family members in Australia right now. And I think they're having struggle getting their citizenship in Australia. I read that from another source. Let me tell you, this girl, she has been on so many interviews. I just feel like she loves the attention, and it's very sick. It's not kind of sick, it's sick. She's like, I honestly don't have any sympathy for her at all, and I'm such an empathetic person. I do not have one empathetic bone in my body for this woman. I really don't. I just can't sympathize with her in the least. Donald is locked away for the rest of his life. Hopefully he gets death soon. If not, let him stay there and rot and get tortured by the other inmates. We love that for him. Rest in peace, this beautiful baby girl. I did watch a few clips of her funeral, and there was so many people there. So many people there. I believe they had like certain like buttons to symbolize her, and I just know this baby is up in heaven with God. I hope I covered this case well. I'm very much a rookie. I do want to give a big shout out to a channel. It's called Dave's Lemonade. I got a lot of information from that video to cover the case in my video. Such an amazing YouTube channel. He does focus more so on the court trial, and it was so helpful for me to watch the video and just get a feel for, you know, how things played out in court. But yeah, I just want to shout that out. And I did get a lot of my information as well from different sources online, a lot of articles that I read. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It is a long one. I'm gonna be working on another case. If you guys have a case that you'd like me to cover, let me know. My channel is not going to be solely true crime, but I am going to incorporate it at least twice a month on my channel, because I am fascinated by it, if that is a good way to explain it. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I am so grateful. This year is going to be amazing. Please stay safe, make good choices. Who says that? Make good choices. Oh, Bailey Syrian, that's my girl. Make good choices, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.